when I had spoken to my son's predator's mom, I was upset.
I just want to hug her.
I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be like, what's your address? Because I'm sending the police and we going to pull up.
I'll make it a content of mine to, we'll call it exposing pedophiles, rapists, all the above.
Hey, besties. Welcome to the BE4REAL Podcast.
So it's your girl, The Exclusive.
And it's your girl, Lucy, baby.
And it's your girl, Ipo.
And thank you for watching and tapping in with us. Make sure you
Like,
comment,
share,
and subscribe to our page, okay? Hey, queens. How y'all doing today?
now that we're checking in, it's about to get real.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Too real, like for real.
Yeah, we about to be for real.
Period.
Okay. So yeah, like the ladies were saying, today's topic is something that is needed to be talked about, especially from the Polynesian community and where we come from as Polynesian women. And it's just something that we're nervous to touch base on because it's such a huge discussion and a huge topic that we want to try to address today.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you guys have been seeing everybody's comments, everybody's messages on our page, and they want us to touch base on sexual abuse. How do you guys feel about that word?
It just triggers. Like, you kind of, not cringe, but like, it just gets real. The moment that comes out, now we're just like, oh shit. All jokes aside, like, that's just something we can't even joke about. So the fact that we're nervous is because we know how sensitive this is to our community. And it happens quite often, but it's not talked about.
Yeah. And I feel like we all know someone that has went through that experience. So it's kind of, I kind of didn't want to talk about it, but everyone like reaching out with their messages, and we have like an anonymous stories that we wanted you guys to touch base on of what we should share on our podcast. And reading each and every one of your messages really broke my heart because I didn't know like everyone's stories. So I don't know, it's just bringing flashbacks of people that I know that went through this. So talking about it publicly, I'm just happy that you guys felt safe enough to share your stories with us so that we can share on a platform like this and bring light to it in our community as well.
Yes.
Yeah, because let's be for real. When our parents and older generation, when we go to them about situations like this, 99% of the time, they're just told that keep it under the rug. We don't want our families to be embarrassed or be put on a light like that.
Or the family name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
That's what they're more worried about. Correct.
Right. Rather than how are you doing mentally as a person going through situations like that. So thank you to our followers for submitting your stories. Just know that your stories are important and we hear you, and we just want to bring light to situations because it can happen to anybody in our family, and we all have had someone or something happen to us regarding that situation. So we're going to just start with an anonymous story and kind of just go from there and have an open discussion. And also, if y'all have anything to say or would like to tap in, make sure you comment down below how you're feeling about this situation and this topic.
Yes.
Okay. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so a bit of a background. Growing up, I was never able to open up to my parents, especially my mom. Everything I would say to them, especially when I tried to express myself or feelings, it was always disregarded. So everything that I was going through mentally, I had to suck it up and deal with it on my own. The first time being touched was my 5th grade year by a very close cousin while I was sleeping. Time goes by and I'm realizing how often he's doing it to me. To be honest, I wasn't the brightest young kid, but I didn't know what rape was at the time. Still being a 5th grader, I was still scared to tell my parents because I was afraid. He did it many times during my 5th and 6th grade years. I never had the guts to open up still at 6th grade. Middle school passes by, not once I'm being touched. High school comes around 10th grade year, and one weekend he comes to babysit because my parents are at work. I go to bed first, hoping my sister will come to me after the family movie was done, knowing he was there. It was this night where he raped me once again. My sister fell asleep with our siblings in the living room. I knew this time around that he is in the wrong, but in my mind I am thinking, how am I supposed to run to my parents and talk about this if everything I say or do is disregarded by them all the time? What am I supposed to do if every time I say something, they get angry and beat me up for saying nonsense things? So my game plan was to leave every weekend and sleep over at another family member's house. So then next weekend I go to my uncle's house to sleep over, and I'm feeling safe because the cousin is not there. One of my cousins is the same age as me, and we always shared secrets. So when I go over again the following weekend, I pull her to the side and start crying, told her not to tell anyone because I'm scared of what would happen to me. As I told her, she broke down because it was happening to her as well. I was broken. I was thinking, is this why I wasn't being touched during middle school? We were both scared to say something because the way our Tongan parents were. Time flies again, and we both learned that we weren't the only victims in the family. It was also happening to the younger ones who were about 6th grade at the time. So we told each other that we would sit my auntie, which was his mom, down and stop this bitch. My auntie had some sense when it came to her kids. When we broke it down to her, she immediately calls her husband, who is my uncle, my mom's brother. She breaks the news to him. Nothing happens because he is out of state for football camp. The next weekend comes around and my uncle does not go to work at all. Just so happens the cousin stops by. My uncle sat him down and sends us girls upstairs. He had the audacity to deny everything my uncle had asked him. So we were called one by one to explain in front of our predator what and how he did it to us. My uncle did not let him talk. He got up and started beating his ass. My uncle then tells us that he has to address this issue to my other aunt, which is his mom. My grandma and my mom, my grandma and my mom. I was scared because my mom is finally going to hear my story for the first time. I was so sure that she would react the same way my uncle did. As the family finds out, my grandma is sort of disbelief, but still had the audacity to ask all these questions. What if the girls are lying? How can it happen when there's an adult in the house? And she gets angry at us for even opening up to my uncle. As this is happening, I'm preparing for my mom's arrival. My mom arrives to my grandma's and picks me up. Doesn't say anything, but I could tell she is furious. When we arrive home, she takes me into my room and says, why am I lying about that kind of stuff? When did it happen if it really did? As she is questioning me, I could see and feel her anger towards me. When I answer and give her every little detail about every single rape he has done to me, she stands and grabs the belt. Next minute, I am being disciplined for apparently lying about the whole situation. Yes, me being disciplined was the award for being a victim. My inner child came back to me and I told myself I was right the whole time. When she was done beating me up, I looked at her in the eye with tears flowing nonstop and said, this is the reason why my young 5th grade self couldn't turn to you the first time it happened, because I was afraid you would never believe me. She indeed went quiet, but she never spoke to me about the situation since. The family went about their ways as if nothing happened, but my uncle and his wife were the only ones who did something about it while the others were still supporting the cousin. Fast forward to today, I'm a mother of 3. My son, who is 6 years old, was touched by a male family member, not on my side, 6 months ago. My worst nightmare became real. Of all people, why my kid? When I first found out from my niece who witnessed and documented it all, she wanted the evidence as proof. My husband and I did not hold back. Yes, we fucked him up and now he sits behind bars. The predator's family, Tongan and Samoan, would still deny it till this very day, even though there's a short clip of him in the act talking about, free my Brody, that's not even you in the video, we still love you. Your nieces and nephews are waiting for you, etc. When I had spoken to my son's predator's mom, I was upset because she stated that he would never do it again. It was a mistake. He apologized. Like, how could she even sit there and tell me that, knowing my son is young and doesn't fully understand what that is? I often wonder if my niece wasn't there to witness or video it, would my son be able to come freely and tell me or even hint to me that it happened? It scares me and breaks my heart the most to think that if she didn't catch it, nobody would even believe that my son was a victim. It's crazy to see that to this day, Polynesian families are still supporting or brushing the situations under the rug. It's truly sad and disgusting how family members will always protect them as if it's okay. I will never be them. Apologize for the long story, but this is my reality of the family members supporting predators and how my experience changed me being a parent myself.
Bruh.
Oh my gosh, that was deep.
Yes, and I just over here like, I wish, you know, like I just want to hug her.
Same.
And the fact like when we first read this story, I just immediately started getting emotional because one, she had to go through it as a child, and now two, her having to see your child go through it too as a mom and a girl mom too. That's my deepest
Worst
fear.
fear.
Yeah, like I would and I would hate for it to be from someone I know. So that's why I'm so protective over my girls. As much as, you know, I'm such a lovable person, and I'm always positive, but I trust a few. When it comes to my kids, I do not play. I'll get out of character so fast. And just hearing that story, like, I feel for her. Because everything she stated is 100% facts within our Polynesian community. You bring it up, you're thinking they're going to at least take it out on them or, you know, start pressing the one that did it. But no, you're being questioned.
You're the bad guy.
Right, exactly.
You're the one that's being blamed for it happening to you. I think that's just, honestly, that story broke me into pieces. And I know we all were feeling it, especially I know Mila because she was reading it out loud. And I just want to say to parents out there, believe your child when they come to you and tell you that that situation is happening. How can a child understand and know what touching them is if somebody didn't do it to them? How can a child know how to do things in a nasty way because they were a victim? So please do not side with the person that did it. Side with your child. That child has your blood, came out of you.
Yes.
You should be able to believe your child over anybody, siblings, parents included. And it saddens me, but I really do applaud you being able to stand strong and raise your family. And I'm sorry that that's happening to your child, but I do hope that you do take the right precautions rather than fighting and beating that person up to take it to the law.
Yeah, no. So they did say that he's in jail, but I think, you know, like, I just think they're the most strongest person or people in the world, because not only that, do they have to keep reliving it, or sometimes, you know, it'll trigger them in random moments, but they still continue to live.
Yes.
And I hope, like, if this ever happened to you, like, I hope that you find the courage and you have the courage. Don't let that hold you back.
Yes.
Keep living. Keep, you know, being great. And take that story and make you something better. Yes. You know? So, I mean, I love her story. Like, I'm so glad that she felt comfortable enough to share it with us so we could bring it onto this platform, because it needs to be addressed.
And how she wrote it, like, in so much detail, it was, like, breaking my heart, because I was thinking, like, oh, she about to tell her mom, like, her mom about to, you know, be her protector. Right. That's her safe space. And the fact that, like, her mom denied everything and she got beat for what happened to her, it, like, if I was in her situation, I was crying, because I was like, this is another factor of why suicide happens in our community too. Like, this is something that people brush under the rug. And I would have, like, suicidal thoughts if I was in that situation, because the fact that you're at home and your mom is supposed to be the person who's saving you, who's supposed to be on your side. It also brings me back to, like, my mom telling me when I was younger, whenever I would go anywhere, she'd always check with me. She was like, she would point to, like, my private areas when I was at a young age, and she was like, if anyone ever touches you here or here, always tell me. She always made that known. She told all of us kids at a young age, and I'm happy she brought that up to us, because I'm a big mouth. So I was like, luckily, nothing happened to me growing up, but I feel bad for the victims who didn't have that open space with their parents, or probably parents didn't teach their kids that, because people are taught that at a young age. I noticed a lot of interviews predators, they usually were touched too, and they started doing it, but they didn't know better, and then they just grew up and they keep repeating.
It's like a
curse.
repetitive process, right? Because they also are, the predators also are going through things mentally as well. Like Mila said, it's happened to them, and a person before them did it to them. It's like a nonstop cycle, but we need to end that cycle and letting them know that we're not going to keep our mouths shut, especially when talking about this topic. I just hope that if you are in a type of situation like this, please don't only turn to family. Find somebody outside of family that you can tell that is able to help you. A teacher, a friend.
Girl, the popo. If you don't take it to the popo and put them behind bars, that's really how you solve
Honestly.
this.
But if that's too intense for you, go at it at a soft approach with talking to somebody outside. Even us, if this is what you want to do in telling your story, write us and let us know. But if it's happening constant, like right now to you, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be like, what's your address? Because I'm sending the police and we going to pull up.
No, and to add to Losses, you guys already know we're influencers. Girl, I'll make it a content of mine to, we'll call it exposing pedophiles, rapists, all the above. Like, I don't mind using my platform if it's going to help you out.
Right.
And I also, so like looking into the situation growing up, I would always watch Oprah and seeing the interviews of like people being touched by a family member. And I would watch it and I was like, that girl, well, I was ignorant. I was a little kid. I was like, that girl is so dumb. Like, why didn't she want to tell her? Why didn't she want to tell someone? Why couldn't she easily blah, blah, blah? And then I would read books about it and I would see the predators would manipulate the victim and be like, you know, if you do something, if you tell anyone, like, you're going to break up the family. They're blaming the victim.
Yes.
Like, if you say anything, you're going to break up the family. Mommy and daddy won't be with each other anymore. So they're, like, playing with the victim's mind. And that shit is so sad. I'm not a mother yet, but if I am, I want to take good care of my kids. And I never want them to go through those things. Like, I also wanted to ask you, too, since you're a mother, have you had, like, that talk with your daughters, like...
Not yet. So my oldest is only 9, but after this subject came up too, I was just like, this might be my sign. To, you know, she's at that age where she can understand.
Right.
So I'm going to sit down and have this talk with my girls. And my husband, like he's so big on who they can go to, who they can hang out with and things like that, because him being a girl dad, it's different, you know, but it's just...
And it also crazy. Happens to little boys.
Yeah. They do not discriminate who it happens to.
That's so true.
But also you mentioning like you're so picky on who they go to. Did you guys ever sleep over at your cousin's house or have sleepovers growing up?
I had sleepovers like all the time, but I think like my teenage years, my mom, I think my mom, she knew what people I can sleep over their house with. But like when it came to friends' house, I was like, oh my, she's like, no, you need to stay home. No, you can't. And I would always like, why can't I go to a sleepover? Like, that's my friend or it's a neighbor, you know? And I never understood it until I got old. Like, I think she didn't want to tell me the reason why.
Right.
She didn't want to speak about that issue. So she just kept an eye about that. She didn't directly tell me, oh, someone's going to touch you. She just said, no, there's no sleepovers. She's like, everyone can sleep over our house. She's like, I don't mind. And we have, like, cameras. So she's like, always
okay, don't play with Lika. She don't play.
Yeah. We're like, there's a living room camera, a front camera. She's like, she just always cares about us kids being safe. I never understood it. I always thought she was doing too much. And then hearing, like, victim stories, I was like, my mom was really looking out for me. She was making sure that I didn't get, assaulted in a way.
Did you ever sleep over?
Girl, like right here. See this? This is how many people my parents trusted.
Yeah.
So that's why
that's
why I'm so close to my first cousins, because that's really that's the only people that my dad really trusted for us to spend the night. It was at his brother's, and that's pretty much it. Like my friends, because we played sports, except for the boys, because you already know they get to do whatever they want. But us, with me being a girl and my sister too, like my parents were just like, no, y'all can go hang out. But at the end of the night, you know where to lay your head.
Yeah.
And just like you, I thought like, okay, they're doing too much. They, you know, they're always killing the fun.
Yeah.
But now that I'm older, they were protecting us.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that my parents raised me in a strict way because, I mean, yeah, now I'm good. And now that I do that for mine, and I hope, you know, when that time comes, my kids will do it for theirs.
Yeah, when I was growing up, there was only one person my mom and dad would ever allow me to go sleep over, and that's my oldest brother's house. So I'm like, okay. And then as far as like Mila's mom, my mom was the same too, which is crazy to me. My mom being a first generation Tongan, super fab out of Tonga, you know, I didn't think that she knew what sexual abuse was. Like, I didn't think that she knew what it was, but just her telling me, like, she would always sit me down and ask me questions about how the sleepover went. Did anyone, you know, try to do something or touch me a weird way? You know, she would always say, like, did they try to touch you up here or down there? And I'm like, no, Mom. And I was so confused, like, Mom, these are my family. They don't. But she just kept asking me that. And I'm just like, it's so crazy to me now as an older person, because my mom knowing about sexual abuse and her being fresh off the boat from Tonga, I didn't know that she would know that this type of things happen, because America's different from Tonga. Tonga's very...
I actually have a story to share about this subject.
Yeah.
With Tonga. No, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying Tonga is very different from America, but please share.
Yes. Well, just because you brought it up, this was back when we were visiting Tonga, and we were staying at my mom's brother's house in Hasini, and they had a neighbor. And mind you, we're all kids at this time. So, like, all my cousins, we all planned, like, oh, let's go have a sleepover. You know, we're the kids from America. They want us to have fun. So they thought we should have a sleepover. So we ended up going to the neighbor's house, and we all slept over, as it was, like, me, my first cousins, and then their kids. And when it was time for us to go to sleep, like, we ended up, like, all in the Lotofale. We were just all stacked.
Yep.
And then out of nowhere, mind you, I'm, excuse me, I'm sleeping on the end. And then my first cousin that I'm close to was sleeping on the opposite end. And then everybody else was in between. And so I was sleeping on the end, and I just, like, I could feel someone, like, coming to my back. Like, he was, like, literally laying right behind my back and just, like, rubbing it like this.
No.
Instantly, I started to get scared. But, you know, like, do you yell? Do you...
You're frozen.
Yes. I froze up, and I started to get scared because I was like, damn, like, I'm really about to get raped right next to my cousin, and my little sister was right next to me. She was the one in front of me. No. So, like, I started, like, shaking, and I was, like squeezing onto my little sister even tighter, like, hoping she would wake up. I know. So this guy, he's continuously, like, rubbing my back.
Stop.
So it just got to the point, thank goodness, that my cousin, who was on the opposite end, like, she just, like, woke up out of nowhere. And mind you, and you know who was rubbing my back? It was the guy. It was the dad that was living at that house. I don't know if he came off a kava or what, but, like, he came, he saw all of us right there and decided to lay right behind me and was rubbing my back.
Wait, he was laying right next to you?
Like cupping me from the back, like, literally, and just rubbing my back. I think if she never woke up, it probably wouldn't went that far. But I'm so glad she just woke up, and that she seen him too, and he was over there trying to play it off by knocking out, like, falling asleep. And I was just like, we gotta go. Like, I don't feel comfortable at all. I don't feel safe. I hella woke up my sister, and I grabbed her, and I was like, let's go. So that's why, like, with Tonga, it's
hidden.
Very much so.
That makes more sense, because it was weird that my mom said it to me that way, and I was just like, Mom. And now that I'm older, I'm like, how did she know about this? Because I wouldn't think sexual abuse is something in Tonga that they would do.
Right.
Something.
You know, like, they keep separate. Like,
right.
They're hella strict on fuck up.
Yes.
But there's ways that those predators be coming.
Right. And it all made sense to me now. And I was just like, wow, Mom, thank you for always taking the time to ask me after every sleepover, after everywhere I go. She's just like, she'll question me, and then she's like, okay. But it's crazy how our moms can tell, like, ask that question, because they know, like, their daughters.
And it's even crazier, though, because if you think about the OGs, when stuff like this happened to them, they know how to just, you know, they kind of know how to, hold it, like,
I forgot what the word is.
Hide it.
Yes.
You know, like, they know how to hide
take
it
it
so
with them to
well.
the grave.
So that's why, like, now I'm so glad that this generation, like, as soon as something happens, or they feel like, you know, they feel that urge to share, they're going on social media.
Yep.
And I love that, because that's where it starts. is by opening up about it. I'm so sorry. I need to drink my water.
No, you're fine. And for those of you that are watching, please don't think that it is not okay to expose them.
You guys know I will use my, I kid you not, I'll make that a content.
All three of us.
We can link up and we can expose together. I'll put a face to it. As long as we're putting an end to it, that's really what it's all about.
We're about to make a whole website for y'all.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of website, you guys do know you can search up your local pedophiles. Because remember,
No
yes,
way.
and I've done it before, and you'd be surprised who you'll see in your local area.
No.
So do that too.
Yeah.
I just kind of want to just finish our sexual abuse topic. I know that we touch base lightly on it because this is, to be honest, we were all nervous to touch base. Not because it's something that we want to keep under the rug. It's just we want to make sure that when we talk about it, it's bringing light to your stories and not making you feel like you're not heard.
Right.
Because I promise you, you're heard here. Just kind of going off of Ipo, and I'm sorry that happened to you. That's just like, it's just bringing back so much for me.
Right.
And when we talked about sexual abuse, I had to sit down and actually talk with my family about a situation that happened with me when I was younger. When we first talked about the subject, sexual abuse, I blocked this memory out of my brain, out of my life, because I didn't ever want to bring it up. I buried that so deep. Like you said, our first generation Tongans, they're so good. Yeah. I buried that so deep that I didn't even remember this situation. And it wasn't until I was talking with my family and I said, hey, we're going to talk about sexual abuse, and I really don't know how to touch the topic. And my brother was actually the one that was like, yes, you do. You know, do you remember this happening to you? And once he said that, it like automatically clicked in my head, and I'm like, yes, I do. But because I deleted it out of my memory, I was not wanting to bring that up.
Right.
However, if me telling my story helps somebody out there bring out their story, then so be it. But like Ipo said, it's crazy how it could be somebody so close in your family that you never think that your own parents, siblings would ever do something like that to you. In the Tongan culture, we have whangawhae and whae tangatas, and we have tamais, whangatamais. Our dads, brothers are our second dads. When our dads die, they step in and play that role. When our moms pass, our mom's brothers and sisters, every one of our parents' siblings will step in and play the role. But to have somebody who is part of that role attempt to do something to me is what blew my mind. So I want to say I was like maybe 13 years old, and I have this uncle. He's really well off. He's really well off, and my whole family knows he's well off. He lives out of Utah, and he would always call my parents like, hey, send her over, let her come over here for summer. And for some odd reason, my mom, she just was like, no. And I'd always argue with my mom, like, Mom, please let me go. I want to go. Like, that's my uncle. Right. Like, I'm thinking in my head, again, naive. I'm thinking, oh, this is my uncle. Right. This is siblings to my parents. Nothing's going to happen like that.
That's like your second dad.
Right. Yeah. And so I'm like, oh, nothing's going to happen. And so I would always argue with my mom, but she was so adamant. She put her foot down and was like, no. If you're not going with anybody, no. Never understood it, never really knew about the topic of sexual abuse, and didn't understand. So one day my uncle calls and he's like, oh, where's Lose? And then my dad goes, oh, she's here. I get on the phone. I'm like, hi, Uncle. Gosh, my mom won't let me go to you, but I really want to come out one day. Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, that's okay. But go to your room. Mind you, I'm so naive, right? So I'm just like, go to my room. Okay. So I go to my room. And then he's like, okay, are you in your room? And I'm like, yeah. And then he's just like, okay, take off your clothes. This is over the phone, okay? And so I'm like, Uncle, what did you say? My 13-year-old me grabs the phone, put it on speaker, and as I'm talking to him, I'm not in my room. I'm walking to my parents' room because my parents are in their room. I'm walking to the room and I'm putting the phone by my parents and I say, "Uncle, tell me again." And he's like, "Take off your clothes." And I'm like, "Okay." And then my dad, he's like, "Keep going.
Right.
I want to hear where this is gonna go." And so I'm like, "Okay, my clothes are off." And he goes, "Okay, grab your hand and start touching yourself."
Oh my gosh. What?
And right then and there, I was just like, this was an uncle that I really wanted to go see, that I thought loved me because I'm his niece, not because he looked at me in a way that wasn't, up to par. And so I was just like, I was like you, I froze. And I was just like, what do I do now?
What the fuck?
Yeah. I literally was like, what do I do now?
I would have grabbed that phone like, somebody, listen right now.
And even talking about it now is just like, I just feel it. Like, it just takes me back to that 13-year-old me. And literally was just like, where do I go from this, situation? And my dad grabbed my phone and he's like, what the fuck are you saying to my daughter? And he was just like, yeah, are you touching yourself? He didn't hear. My dad was like, what are you doing to my daughter? What are you saying to her? Once he realizes it's my dad, he hangs up the phone. And my mom was just like, what the hell? And both of my parents got up and they sat me down and they're like, don't you ever think we won't believe you in a situation like that.
Oh, I love
Just
that.
know that if that ever were to happen physically to you, we would believe you over him. And both of my parents were like, fuck the siblings. Fuck the siblings because you're our child. We know that you wouldn't ever think to lie about that situation, And so both of my brothers, they're older, so they're not at home. It's just us three. And I call my brother and I'm like, I don't understand this. And my brother's just like, calm down. Tell me the story. I tell him and he's just like, what? I'm the only girl in my family. So the fact that my uncle thought to do this to me, being the only girl, like, okay, if I had a little sister, damage me, I don't care. But my little sister, no, you're not going to touch her, right? And so my brothers, they were all a mess, ready to fly over to him, they started calling him, threatening him.
I love that.
And my sister-in-laws were like, what the heck is going on? And my brother that I'm really close with, he was just like, I'm sorry. That's all he said. He sat me down. He's like, I want you to know I'm sorry that happened to you. And I'm sorry that you had to learn about being naked and touching yourself through your uncle.
Right.
And so my mom, she was just like,
bro, this one right here.
It was tough. And after that, my parents were like, no more. Like, we're not cut off ties, whatever. And it's just crazy to me. We hear later on down the road, years later, that he ended up abusing another person in the family that flew out to him because, he's well off.
Right.
And my mom was just like, that could have been you. That could have been you.
And it's always your mom's intuition.
Yes.
She just knew.
Yes.
It's real.
And my brother was just like, I'm sorry that happened to you. Like, don't think you're not important because you are. And then after that, I started learning about sexual abuse and I was like, wow, this is not just a one-person thing. I'm not alone. This is actually a thing that's happening within our culture, within our families. And so COVID happened and we get a call from the mortuary and they call us from the mortuary and they're like, oh, they say his name and they're like, you're the family member closest here. What do you want to do? And my parent, because I'm not going to expose, but my parent that is the sibling said, cremate him. Hung up the phone and said, bye.
Not today, Satan.
Not today.
What an ending.
Not today. Yup. See what happens? Mate. Because I'm just like, oh my gosh. And so, yeah, my parent was just like, yep, burn them. That's what they deserve. That's honestly what they deserve. And ever since that, I think that's why I buried it so deep because, and I give props to you guys who have your predators that are still alive.
Right.
Because you're living in constant fear every single day and making sure that they don't do that again to you. So for me, it was that. And I'm so lucky that my uncle was out of state. And so I'm like, oh, that I'm good. But I always had that constant fear in my head, like, dang, he can show up anytime. My parents cannot be home, and what if he just pops up?
Right.
And so I had that fear. And then once he died, that memory and that situation died with him. I never, ever talked about it again until now. So I hope that if you are that person, don't be afraid to tell your parents. And if they don't believe you, find someone who will believe you. Because
We'll believe you.
Yeah, that's all that matters. And sexual abuse is a big topic to talk about. You are important, and don't think that your story should not be heard. Tell somebody.
Yes, please.
We'll have more of these too, and I'm just thankful for you guys being, like, again, every message that we get from you all, I feel like we're your safe space. Like, we're really your besties. We're your sisters. We're,
Yes.
But I'm so sorry for the victims that it happened to, and I'm thankful for the stories that you guys get to share with us, so that we can share on our platform and bring awareness to it, put a stop to it. Comment down below what we should do about it. Setting up these websites, or I don't know what the word is.
Or continuous sending us your stories. Yeah. If you want us to talk about it, we definitely, there was a lot of you guys that poured in your stories, and we don't want you guys to feel like because we didn't read your story, you're not important. No, you're important. We just wanted to touch base on a specific story. And of course, I think randomly we'll talk about it throughout.
No, because when it comes to this subject, I feel like we would need like 5 hours.
No, honestly.
5 episodes.
5 episodes continued. And so thank you guys for rocking with us. And yeah.
Keep living. Y'all keep living. Don't let sexual abuse hold you back from nothing. Keep living. It gets better. I promise. We love you guys.
We love you guys. Thank you for watching and for staying tuned with the BE4REAL podcast. Just know that our anonymous stories, will probably put the link in the bio as well.
And that's our topic for today. And if you are watching and you would like to be a sponsor to our shows, if you have a business, a small business, or just want to sponsor the show in general, there is a link that's going to be linked down below. Please click on that link, fill out the sponsorship jot form, and we will be in touch with you because sponsorship matters. We need our... Don't y'all want our podcast to keep going?
Especially if you guys enjoy our episodes.
Videos?
Help us help you.
Exactly. So if you know somebody or somebody else, please send them our way and give them that link and let them know to fill out the sponsorship forms. Also, we do have a donation link that's also going to be linked in our bio as well. Click on that. Give us some donations. We're happy with whatever you have. We are not judging you on whatever you give. We are just thankful and grateful that you wanted to donate to the cause. Hey, besties. Thanks for watching the BE4REAL podcast.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.